Hi, my name is Pavel Kaduk. I live in Montreal, province Quebec, Canada, and I have decided to present this brief summary of the Dostoyevsky's novel The Idiot. I strongly recommend to read it to get very deep appreciation of Dostoyevsky's abilities to analyze the human spirit, the human soul. It has been said that he has never aspired to become a psychologist, but he's absolutely the perfect one. So please listen to this summary, and I strongly recommend you read the book. Enjoy your time. Well, you are watching a summary of the novel The Idiot from Dostoyevsky. You can read the full book. I will give you the references where you can find it. Well, the novel is set in 1867. Three men meet in the train car. One of them is 40-year-old official Lebedev. The second, heir of the wealthy merchant Parfyon Rogozhin, and the self-satisfied young man with a demanding look. The third, 26-year-old Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin. In his hands is a modest bundle with things. This is a quiet and simple-hearted person. He returns from Switzerland, where he was treated for mental illness at the expense of his trustee who recently died. Now he is going to St. Petersburg to General Epanchin, whose wife is his distant relative. A conversation is struck up between fellow travelers. Parfyon tells that he is in love with a woman, Nastasia Filipovna, who lives on the content of a rich man. Once, he squandered his father's savings on a gift for her, for which he was excommunicated from home. But suddenly his father died, and now Rogozhin is preparing to inherit. At the station, the fellow travelers say goodbye, and Lev Nikolaevich sets off for the Panchkin's house. There, a terrible guest is greeted with caution, but then the family is surprised with the sympathy for him. Despite the simplicity and modesty, he seems to them a very intelligent and deep person. The prince is introduced to the general's daughter Alexandra, Adelaida, and everyone's favorite beautiful Aglaya. He is introduced to general's assistant Gania Ivolkin. They want to marry this young man to Nastasia Filipovna, whom Rogozhin told about in the train. Gania carries her portrait with him. Looking at the image of the girl, the prince sees a face of extraordinary beauty. It expresses at the same time suffering and hidden contempt along the way. Lev Nikolaevich learns details about Barashkova. Nastasia is an orphan. She stayed early without parents and became a kept woman, and then the mistress of an aristocrat, Anafasi Ivanovich Totsky. He settled the girl in his distant estate, where he often comes, but after 4 years he decides to marry Alexandra, the eldest Epanchin's daughters. And now, fearing that the jealous and impudent kept woman will make a scandal or even kill him, he is going to marry Nastasia to Gania Ivolkin, and even provides her with a good dowry. Gania is not so much interested in the bride herself as in money, despite the fact that his mother considers Nastasia a fallen woman. He is ready to marry her. and in the evening she must give him the final answer. Mushkin stays in a pension maintained by Ganya's parents. There he meets the Ivolgin's family, his brother Kolya and sister Varia, as well as the guests of the institution. Ganya's relatives once again speak out about his marriage to Nastasia Filipovna. A scandal is going to erupt. The mother says that she will not accept her even despite the solid dowry. In the midst of a quarrel, Nastasia herself comes to a boarding house. She invites the guests gathered to her place. Parfen Rogozhin appears behind her, accompanied by his friends. The merchant's son offers Gania money for refusing to marry Nastasia. Rogozhin also promises to the girl 100,000 rubles if she responds to his advances. The scandal is gaining momentum. Gania doesn't want to back down from the intention to marry Nastasia. Because of this, Sister Varia spits in his face. He swings as not to hit, but suddenly he is stopped by Prince. Gania, giving Mishkin a slap in the face, creates a situation. Lev Nikolaevich declares that soon Ivolgin will be ashamed of this act. He also turns to Nastasia and says that she is not at all what she wants to appear to society. For this, Nastasia is imbued with gratitude for this sympathy, and Nastasia lives in St. Petersburg in a separate apartment provided by her by Trotsky. That evening, her acquaintances gather, including Gania and General Epanchin. Mishkin also comes. Nastasia asks the prince if she should marry Gania. Mishkin answers that she should not. Then Rogozhin appears at the evening, who throws on the table 100,000 rubles wrapped in a newspaper. Epanchin is seeing that the situation is getting out of control and asks Prince to intervene or to help. Mushkin publicly declares his love to Nastasia and asks for her hand in marriage. He admits that he became a rich heir and came from Switzerland to get his money. But the girl replies that she doesn't want to spoil the life and reputation of the prince and announces that she will leave with Rogozhin. In order to humiliate Gania and look at what he is ready for the sake of money, Nastasia throws 100,000 rubles in the fireplace and tells him to get it out with his own hands. And then Gania, he doesn't want to succumb to the provocation and heads for the exit. But at the threshold he loses consciousness. Then Nastasia herself pulls the money out of the fireplace with the help of tongs and orders to give it to Gania. Then she leaves with Rogozhin. After a night that she spent with Rogozhin, the young lady disappears. Rumors say that she has left for Moscow. Rogozhin suffers after her. Mishkin also goes there on hereditary affairs. Then he goes on a long journey through Russia. Half a year passes. By this time, Ivolgin no longer serves with General Epanchin. Trotsky's wedding with Alejandra is cancelled. Instead, he marries a French woman and moves to Paris. In Petersburg, they say that Rogozhin finds Nastasia in Moscow and marries her twice, but the girl runs away from the wedding to Mushkin every time and then returns to Parfen again. In the end, all three come to St. Petersburg. Here Mishkin becomes close to Rogozhin. Young people talk a lot. And between these rivals, even a semblance of friendship is tied up. According to an old custom, they fraternize by exchanging pectoral crosses. Rogozhin is sure that Nastasia loves the prince, but considers herself too vicious to become his wife. He also understands that he himself is too tyrannical and capricious to the role of her husband. Rogozhin is afraid that he is capable of murder out of jealousy, but he cannot refuse his beloved and leave this vicious circle. One day, in a fit of madness, Parfyon rushes at the prince with a knife on a dark staircase. But Mushkin has an epileptic seizure, and only this saves him from death. Rogozhin runs away. The prince breaks his head on the step, and in this state, Kolya, the Ganya Evogjen's brother, finds him. The young man takes Mushkin to the Dasha, to a friend of the family, an official Lebedev. Nearby is the Dasha of the Epanchins, who soon also come out of town. A few days later, the prince visits the Epanchin, who are visiting Adelaida's fiancé and Aglaya's admirer, Prince Radomsky, with a friend officer. All together they go for a walk, during which they joke about the possible marriage of the prince to Aglaya.